Hey everyone! So, welcome to Colourisma. I'm Shar, and today we're doing a draw with me. I have on the screen here the finished results of last week's sketch, which did not look like this by the end of the stream, but it does look like this now. So today's topic, we are going to be discussing burnout and all the funness that comes with that. So, to get started, we are just going to kind of define what burnout is. It's a few different things depending on who you are and kind of how you define it for yourself, because everybody's a little bit different. But for me, I define burnout as kind of just the lack of desire to draw anymore. Anytime I feel that way, I kind of call that burnout. Some people might feel like it's not necessarily that they don't want to draw. It might be that, it is that they don't want to draw, but they can still draw. I tend to do that. Depending on what it is I'm working on, can feel more burned out about it than if I'm really excited about it. It's harder to get burned out. It can also be tied into your emotional state, how you're doing in your life. It's might be kind of hard to necessarily concentrate on drawing if you don't have like the hierarchy of needs, that pyramid, that base of the pyramid with food, water, shelter. If you don't have those things, it can be really difficult. So let me go ahead and get started on the drawing part of the draw with me. So the reason I have a little cheetah up here, I'll show you, see if I can show you what it looked like before the final. Let's see. Hide all these layers. Yeah, so this is kind of the sketch over I did from the base sketch that I was able to complete on the stream yesterday. Not yesterday, last Tuesday, a whole week ago. So here was the sketch. It just basically, I kind of had to chop the body in half because it wasn't quite long enough. Cheetahs are very, very long. So, yeah, then I kind of gave more personality because I felt like that was lacking in the other one. It's not necessarily that it's hard for me to talk and draw. It's just that it's hard for me to do the type of drawing that requires a lot of thought. And the initial drawing stages, for me, are the most thought intensive. They require the most planning and actual decision making. And that is hard to do while talking. that is very much the case there. Oh, yay, Sam's here. Good deal. Is anyone else drawing today? Hopefully. Fingers crossed. If so, let me know what you're drawing in the chat. I want to know. All right, let me go ahead and get all these layers back in. And I'll close out this folder and start a new one. So today's image that we're going to be working on, all of us, is going to be a Saluki. So that is the next character that is going to be introduced in my comic. And I wanted to go ahead and do a desktop wallpaper for my patrons. Let's see. Yay, watercolor. That's nice. Oop. On the wrong tab there. There we go. So this week I have a reference, which I did not last week. I was just kind of working off of memory mostly last week. Sorry. If I hear a noise, I might have to be extra like, what's going on? Hopefully the air conditioning isn't too much. I just installed my hot water heater, electronic water heater today. So that is super exciting. However, it's been an hour, but I'm still like overly cautious. So random aside, I may just be like, occasionally, just to make sure it's all good. But yes, so today, talking about burnout. I think the time, I guess story time, the time that tended to happen the most for me was actually 2017. Oh, yay. Hey, Mitra. Oh, that is so cool. I love links. They're really neat. Yeah, so story time. Distraction. But yeah, I think 2017 was the year of burnout for me. I don't think I was super burned out about drawing per se, as much as I was about the process of trying to get discovered and try to make an art career over many, many years, and it just not working out in the time that I wanted it to. I had put my 10,000 hours in. I put my 10 years in by that point. And I was just really, really kind of over everything. I had gotten to the point where I didn't want to do commissions anymore. I didn't want to kind of deal with all the stuff I didn't want to do. I felt like if I was drawing, then I needed to draw exactly what I wanted to. It's already a career that a lot of people don't tend to choose for themselves. So why do something you don't want to do? It's already so specialized. It's already something that is not typical. Why not do exactly what you want if you're already kind of going and breaking the mold? Just break it all the way open and do exactly what it is that you want. So for me, I basically had been chasing a bunch of different kind of things. I had been chasing pet portraits, which, unlike a lot of people, I wasn't just doing just to break in. I really thought that that was going to be the thing that was going to be it for me. But I had been doing that at that point. So I'm talking about 2017. I had been trying at that since 2012. So it's a bit, it's not, it's not like I gave it 6 months and was like, nope. I gave it a good long time, and I just could not develop the clientele base to make that sustainable. So that was really frustrating at that point. I had also already went ahead and kind of moved into the fantasy art realm of things, trying to do like card games, not like playing card games, but more like games that you play, tabletop kind of games, but with cards, and trying to do card art, trying to also do some of the aforementioned tabletop games, game art, just anything I could find that was like fantasy realm-ish. Decided to just kind of rework my whole entire portfolio in that, and in that realm, and change my whole website and just do kind of all the things, get it all set up and ready. I went ahead over that period of time, basically, I'd say probably 2014 is when I really, really started. I gave the pet thing like 2 full years of time and like dedication and really trying to concentrate. And then I was like, okay, this isn't doing what I needed to. And then so I moved on to the sci-fi and fantasy. Well, I shouldn't say I moved on. I went back to it because I had done that back in 2010. And then I switched to the pets, and then I switched back because I was like, maybe I just need to give it more time, try again. At that point, from 2010 to 2012, so I gave that 2 years as well, I had developed a Google spreadsheet of well over 500 different companies and people and just so many things. I had went back to that list and started reapplying to places because my skills had grown by that point, and tried submitting to a whole bunch of the spectrum and the art challenges year after year. I was doing that multiple years, just really trying to get my work out there and really trying to get seen by the big shot, kind of players at the time, and just really, really putting all of my effort into it. And by the time, so this was 2014, by 2017, I was welly and truly burnt out by then. I was tired of doing commissions because they were, while they were sort of fun, the pay wasn't to the point where it was super fulfilling, because I would put, way more hours of work than I probably should have, probably ending up at $5 an hour if you calculated how many hours I spent on each of the pieces for how much the flat rate was. And just having it be so unsustainable, and it just got really, really frustrating. So I kind of didn't advocate. I didn't seek out commissions. I went ahead and basically, if someone came in who had commissioned me before, I took something, but it was like 2 or 3 people that whole year. So it wasn't like people were kind of slamming down the door to get work from me. But I kind of took that as a sign too. I was like, okay, this isn't really super sustainable either. Need more than 2 or 3 commissions a year to be able to really make it. So at least at the rates I was charging. But yeah, so I decided that year to kind of just assess the fact that I did not want to do commissions anymore. I think that's really important if you're facing burnout, if you're feeling really burnt out, and be honest with yourself. Understand that is what's happening. Don't try to underestimate how you feel. Don't think, oh no, I'm really fine if you're not. And really just kind of assess what it is that would make you happy, and give yourself time to be able to figure out what that is, because that is not a process you can rush. You can't sit there and think to yourself like, okay, I know, I'll just do this one thing and it'll make me happy, and then toss all of your effort into that one thing. Trust me, I know. I think it's good to try if you have a good idea that it might be the thing that is going to work out for you. But the thing is, it's kind of like putting a limit on your own imagination. Somebody says, come up with the most fantastical thing you can create. And mentally, you're already putting limits on it before you even give yourself time to think. And that's what I feel like it is for art and having an art career, is people do that right out the bat. They're like, well, I could take a studio job. And it's like, so in your wildest dreams, you just want to work for someone. I mean, maybe that is the case. I've just seen over the time I've been doing this, so many people who were working studio jobs eventually go off and do their own IP. It does take time to develop your own project. Your own intellectual property is what that stands for. And a lot of times it's kind of nice to do something creative adjacent, even if it's not for your own IP, but you can get like tips and tricks on all the different things that it takes to build a property and market it and everything. And you can do all that through the process of working through a studio. And I think that's what a lot of people do. But I think if push come to shove, you ask a lot of the studio people what it is they would do if money was no object and they could get all the money that they need. I don't know that a lot of every single one of them would say the studio job. I'm not trying to diss studio jobs. It's just having the experience I have and watching the experience of others. I think a lot of us think of this studio job as like the golden ticket to being able to do art as a career. And on the surface, it does seem that way. It does seem like, oh, look, I am getting paid for drawing. And if that is the only criteria that you are interested in, is to draw what you're told and you don't have to think about it, and the process that's really fun for you is just like rendering or the idea making, but you're not really interested in coming up with the whole plot and ideas and story and everything. It, like I said, it really, really is super individualized and specific to you. But if you ever at any point in your life were developing stories, were writing things down in a like a special dedicated notebook and drawing doodles on the side of your homework, I really think at the end of the day, gearing everything toward doing your own IP, even if it takes a long time to get there, is probably going to be the more fulfilling path than necessarily going with kind of the easy path. And I say easy, like air quotes, because it's not easy. No path in art is just like straightforward. It all takes work and effort and time. And of course, with studio jobs, you do also have to take in consideration that they have a very specific style and you need to mold yourself to them, and they're not going to generally go the other way around. So it's just something to consider as well. But kind of reverting back to my prior story, what happened was I didn't want to think. Knew what I didn't want to do anymore. I didn't feel like taking on any more commissions, but I also didn't know what it was that I wanted to work toward. So I did kind of enter a state of not really wanting to think. I didn't want to like decide what to do. I didn't want to decide the prompts or anything. So what I did the whole entire year of 2017 was month after month, almost every month has some challenge associated with it. There's Mermay, there's Junicorn, there's Smogist, and then of course you get into the Inktober stuff as well. And all of those are prompt based, and not only like Inktober, but there's like Drawloween and Witchtober. There's so many things out there. And I just was following prompts almost the whole year. Basically, once it got towards September and I was doing Sketchtember in like preparation for Inktober that year, I went ahead and started developing more of my own characters and properties and all that kind of stuff. At that point, I had thought about it long and hard enough over the course of that whole entire year that I did actually develop the thing I really wanted to work on. But that took 9 months, 9 months of thinking, and even longer before that point of fully admitting that the path I was on was not really the path that was making me happy or making me the happiest. I don't know exactly what I believe in the sense of like universal powers controlling us or anything like that. But I do believe in paying attention to what's working and what's not. And if something isn't working after you've put in your time and effort and energy into it, then it's time to reassess. And it doesn't mean quit art. It doesn't mean stop everything altogether. But it does mean let's get really, really, really honest with a lot of different things about myself, about how much I'm really enjoying this process, about the types of things that are getting in my way, the types of things that are blocking me from really having a lot of joy. And I think it's just such an important step that we all kind of don't want to deal with, because it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with. Especially the more time you sink in, you get that sunk cost fallacy where you think, well, I've put this much time into it, so it has to be the right choice. It has to be the right decision. Not necessarily. And like I said, it doesn't have to be a complete 180. It doesn't mean, oh, I should have been a doctor instead. It doesn't mean any of that. It just means this very particular path that I'm going down isn't working for me. And I should also state during all of this, I had a support network. I had a plan to eventually move into my RV, but that plan hadn't happened yet. So at this point, I was allowed to kind of step away from doing commissions because I had taken on a part-time job. And that basically covered the bills. So I could pay for my car and I could pay for my insurance and all the things. I was also living with family at the time. So it just kind of lent itself to being able to not be so stressed about art has to make money. Because when art has to make money, guess what? You don't get to experiment. You don't get to like play around and ask yourself questions like, does this make me happy? Because it doesn't matter if it makes you happy. It matters what's in the checkbook or what's not. So that's also something that I was allowed to kind of discover and allowed to kind of address my burnout. Because before that, I just felt like I have to make this work. I have to absolutely make this work, whatever it is. It has to be a paying gig. I can't just sit here and work on concepts. They might make me happy, but I can't get paid for that, not to the sustainable level that I need. So I think that's another thing. Are you setting, or I don't want to make it sound like you're putting yourself in a position to not be able to get the things that you want, but are you in a position that allows you to have freedom to be able to explore different options? Or are you kind of trapped in the cycle of, like I said, needing to make art make money? Because it's not a fun cycle to be in for that one. It is very draining, and it takes a lot of your time and energy and mental ability. I couldn't have come up with the plots and the story ideas and really give it the time and thought needed in my, sorry, I'm getting a random. Anyway, this is why I normally flip my phone around, because I get easily distracted. But yeah, basically you need to, God, my brain really, really lost its thought there. That's how fast it goes. It's hell getting old, people. Don't do it. But yeah, I have to sit here and re-say what I just said in my head real quick, unless somebody wants to remind me in the chat. So basically, the point I was trying to get to is try to have yourself set up that you are capable of being able to explore and come up with new ideas and everything. I think what I was getting at was it was only like 5 or 6 months after I started my part-time job that I even really started considering that the property I really would want to work on. Okay, words are hard. This is not my most well put together. I'm also getting into details on the piece, so it's distracting me because the anatomy is a little wonky. Probably too close up, but yeah. This is where it's good to have someone to kind of like share their story, and then it gives me a moment to kind of like reset and like think before I'm able to talk. But I'll just struggle my way through it. It's good. It's all good. But yeah, so I'll just go share a story again because that's easier than trying to come up with some poignant point. But yeah, so 2017, I was starting to do, okay, bug. I was starting to do the things, the plots and the different kinds of prompts. Yes, thank you, brain. I was doing the prompts and I wasn't really putting a lot of thought and attention. I was just trying to put the joy back into it. That's the other thing. It wasn't, like I said, it wasn't really for me that I didn't want to draw anymore. It was just I was tired of having to draw and someone else put all their specifications onto what I was trying to draw. And it just got so frustrating after year after year after year of doing that. Because at that point, like I said, I'd been pretty much starting my own business since 2010, really more like 2009, but we'll go with 2010. And so at that point, I had been going full force commission work from 2010 to 2017. And it's just a lot. It's a long time to have to go that route and just not be able to draw exactly what you want to draw and kind of be the hired hand for someone else's mental image that they want on paper. So I just let myself enjoy these prompts. I did mermaid, and for me, I took each of the mermaid prompts and made them into like sea what are they? What's that funny name for seals that people, sea puppers? So I did a bunch of sea puppers where I drew different breeds of dog as a seal, as a mermaid, giving them, you know, the overall appearance of kind of like a seal. That one was fun. And some of those I still, I couldn't get away entirely from commissions. I still felt like compelled to, like, art needs to be money. Like, they are so intrinsically linked that I need to make money at all times when doing any kind of art. So I still took a couple commissions, or at least I drew from a couple of different kind of famous critters at the time, Instagram famous animals, and then kind of was trying to see if that person would want that final, because I was doing traditional media. So I was seeing if that person would want the final finished artwork. I don't think anyone took me up on that. So again, it just was like really nailing the coffin for the pet thing. I was just like, man, I just cannot make this work. Even when I'm doing, you know, for, you know, I'm creating the image, they don't want the final. So that also kind of said to me that traditional media wasn't going to be my savior. It wasn't going to be the thing like everybody was telling me at the time to just do traditional because then you can sell the original. I have a whole box of original things that I did from this year when I was doing all this. That was not the answer for me. I also did, let's see, I did a little bit of Smogist. I was taking people's pets. I was really still trying, I was trying to go back to the pet thing. I thought that was the cure. So I did Smogist, and I did a bunch of people's pets again as dragons. And it was fun, but it was still like a little limiting for me because it wasn't very creative. It was mostly just thinking about, again, still I wasn't really allowing myself to step away from the concept of art not needing to make money. And finally, about halfway into the year, like I said, I started thinking about the project I'm currently doing now. I don't remember if I came up with the name at that point in time. I don't think so, because I was still in the concept stage of trying to figure out what to do with the characters. At first, I was thinking about maybe doing everything as like anthro characters. I thought that could potentially avoid, when you start throwing humans in the mix, someone's going to get upset. So I thought, oh, well, maybe I'll do that, and I'll just avoid that by making everybody anthro. But then I was like, it's not going to work out with the overall plot, because I kind of had the whole entire plot right away, from beginning to end, the broad strokes anyway. And when I was trying to make that work with the anthro theme and having everyone kind of be an animal character, it kind of took away a lot of it. A lot of the impactfulness that I was really wanting to get from it. So instead, I think I changed the era it was in. I was originally thinking about doing maybe like the 600s or the 1600s, something in there. And then I was like, no, let's just go way back, way back. And I did more research, and I actually found out more about the Achaemenid Empire. And the more I researched, the more I was like, how is this not common knowledge? How is this not more talked about, not only in school, but just I started looking up textbooks for it, and there really aren't any. There are, maybe I found 24 different books. I think that's generous. It might have just been 12 different books on the Achaemenid Empire, and they didn't even cover anything other than basically the general lineages of the royalty, which is, like, for me, the least important, least interesting part of the whole empire. I'm much more interested in how your everyman kind of lived, and how daily life existed then, and learning more about that. And that has been something that's been very difficult to research, very difficult to learn about. But with that knowledge I did have from learning more about that era, it really sparked something in me. And that is kind of the point at which point I feel like the burnout was kind of over. And so far it's been 3 years, and it's pretty much stayed strong. I haven't, while I've been frustrated over different kind of other things, the art hasn't been one of them. I've stayed really passionate about this project and working on this project, and really focusing on it. I'm gonna open up the curtain here because it like the buggies like to go toward the light, and I want him to go somewhere that isn't my face. So there you go, bug. You can go over there and stay away from me. But yeah, so that was kind of the secret for me. I don't know that would be something that would work for everyone. But it did teach me to value, once you have the project, the actual project kind of that you're working on, it really showed me that every single thing I do for this project does not have to equal money. The support network from being able to stay with family and then eventually moving out onto my own, but having that part-time job that was allowing me to make the income, the bare minimum income that I need to at least get by. That's what I wanted. I don't, I really want this project to take off, but I also need a little something. I could do more, but I'm really passionate about my project. So that is the thing that I really want to put the majority of time and effort in from week to week. And if, I have to be a little lean on the fancy stuff, then I'm really okay with that, because when I wake up and I know it's like a Monday or Tuesday and I get to work on my project all day, those are the best days. I'm really, really pleased with like my schedule and the fact that I can do this project the majority of the time, the majority of the week. And knowing that is really helped me to stay focused and come up with new, different ways to battle the things that are frustrating. Takes a different kind of energy, but it's not the same kind of energy for me as the burnout energy. The burnout energy was like, I'm just so done and I have no idea what else I should be doing. And that kind of energy was really exhausting to deal with a lot. There's definitely a few months in there that I wasn't doing anything. I think it was when I was first starting my part-time job, and the first couple of months, I didn't really do any kind of drawing. I just focused on going into work and collecting a paycheck and distancing myself from art. I think it might have been the next year. There was basically a year I didn't post to Instagram. I was just so done with all of it. I didn't want to focus on like social media at all. And I think that's also another time, like another way for you to kind of decide if you aren't clearly stating for yourself that you're burnt out. Like, look at your habits. Are you posting to social media? Do you want to? Do you find any value in doing that anymore? And if the answer is no to those questions, then it's definitely something to stop and think about and kind of realize what is and isn't working for you. I don't know if anyone in the chat or later on when you're watching this in the comments are dealing with this or had been dealt with this in the past. But if you did and you got this far, then go ahead and share like some things that helped you. Or if you're still currently struggling and kind of going through this process, what are the things that you're trying? Like, what are the things that, whether they're working or not, either it's stepping away from art, maybe deciding to do something else for a while. Alternatively, you could, like I did, get a different job that wasn't art related and see if that helps boost your creativity at all. Or maybe get a job that is art related and see if that helps boost your creativity. Because like maybe you've had the opposite experience. Maybe you're trying really hard to focus on your IP and wasn't able to get that off the ground, and you're so frustrated by that whole process that maybe that's where the studio job comes in, and maybe that would be a better path for you, because then you don't have to rely on the thing that isn't working and isn't getting you the income that you need. Then maybe that will help and help your whole situation, and for you to recover a little bit of that mental energy that you put into this project, and be able to set it down for a while, and then later on come back to it. Could have the whole complete opposite experiences of that I had. And maybe commissions are the way for you, because like I said, if you're so concentrating on your IP and it's just not growing as fast as you'd like, or to the degree that you need it to, then yeah, maybe going a different route in the art realm is the way. While I didn't completely stop drawing, I feel like I did have a period where at least a few months went by and I wasn't drawing at all. I want to say that was more in 2018, when I was focused on the Golden Tree, but in developing it, I did like a soft launch of the comic once I got a couple of pages up, but it wasn't quite enough pages, and I was not able to get the backlog. So I kind of behind the scenes started working, getting distracted with my whole entire like RV process. That it's constant distraction. Hopefully not too much longer, but that life basically got in the way. And I know definitely, you know what, I realized when that time was I wasn't posting anywhere was, it was right before I jumped back into posting the comic in 2019. I actually was browsing through my Instagram and I saw the anniversary of the comic pass, and it said August 1st was when I was launching the comic again, and that was August 1st, 2019. So it's been a year now where I've made a more concerted effort in posting regularly. And the time before that, from basically February to that August, I really didn't post anywhere. I didn't post to Facebook. I didn't post any art to Instagram. I kind of stopped doing YouTube videos. I did a couple and then I just got fed up with that. All of social media was just kind of pissing me off. So I just decided to take a break from all of it. And that's also really healthy too. If you are getting to the point where it's all stressing you out more than lifting you up, then take a break. Depending on the size of your audience, you can take as long of a break as you want, as in my case, and nobody knew the wiser. I didn't have any stress of people asking me where I was or what I was doing. So there was that. It was kind of annoying. It's like I kind of wanted people to ask, but then at the same time, it's like, well, it's one less thing I have to worry about. So there's that. You got to just kind of take the things that you can from the situation. It can be an annoying situation, but you just got to kind of see how it's beneficial in whatever small way you can come up with. Getting almost done with this sketch here. I'm trying to think of other ways, other topic, kind of side topic things to think about with this burnout question, and see how I could maybe preemptively assist someone by coming up with their scenario and how I would help them. But I'm kind of coming up with a blank, so may work on this. Kind of go into the drawing a little bit. It's sort of why I wanted to do one of these draw with me's, or start this as a series for when I'm doing my solo-sodes. I just thought that it could be a little bit more interesting, and kind of having an idea of something else to look at, something else happening on screen. Let's see. So I'm going to pop this question up here into the chat, into the screen. So the question is, what if you're having to make money with art while you haven't done your 1,000 hours? That one is a little rough. It's going to be basically everything I said, but it's going to be like more difficult. So unfortunately, I kind of spent the years 2003 to about 2008, 9, just working on art. And I did a couple of commissions in that time, here and there, but they weren't my income at all. I was just mostly focused on trying to improve my skills and comparing my skills to other industry professionals to be able to tell whether or not I was going to be able to enter the industry. And probably I wasn't super ready to enter the industry in 2009 when I was starting off the first portion of time where I was going and doing the fantasy art. But there were a few like indie game makers who still really liked what I did. And one of them I worked with like for a year or two. It wasn't a lot of work, and well, I should rephrase. It wasn't a lot of pay, but it was a lot of work. But I just kind of took it as like, okay, so I'm getting paid to learn. And there's something to be said for that. That's a really good way to go. The thing is to understand, I think a lot of people get caught up in like the I'm not good enough kind of mentality. But the thing is important to understand is that they've hired you for what you've already done. You don't have to prove yourself. You already have. They've seen your portfolio. They've seen what you've done, and they gave you the thumbs up already. So given that, you deliver even better than because you've studied and you're kind of like working through the process and you're learning as you go. And then you deliver like a little bit of a step up. They're not gonna be mad about that. If anything, the only thing they might be mad about, and I'm saying mad, they're not actually literally mad, more just like, you know, might be something they chat to you about, is the fact that they are potentially going to see a style discrepancy. So that's kind of where those 10,000 hours come in, where that phrase that people say, it's also debatable. People kind of love it or hate it. They either abide by that phrase or they don't. But I don't see a problem either way. If you want to work while still learning, I think it's a totally valid way to go. And if people are excited about the stuff you're creating because they can kind of see the vision behind the artwork, and or you have like a really distinctive style already, then you get to just have your time to like focus on it. And I think that's great. I would kind of do studies for each piece. I would it does kind of get into that, like the time thing of how many hours are you putting into something and how much are you getting back for it. Like the thing I said where I was working on a piece and basically getting $5 an hour. Not if I could have done it in an hour, then it would have been a good rate. But because I spent 8 hours on it, it diminished the rate by a bit. So just kind of understanding that is sort of where you're at, and knowing and being okay with the fact that you're going to get a little less return on investment as far as like your time invested into the piece, because you'll want to do like the studies and stuff behind the scenes even before you show anything to the client. And that's good too. And also, it doesn't have to be something like you don't have to necessarily work on like just anatomy and just like all of the like nitty gritty, like kind of not fun aspects to art. I'd say also take that time to explore your own style as well, and kind of see what it is that you gravitate to. You can do Pinterest boards where you just basically anything that's really attractive to you as far as like artwork that's done by other people, toss it in a Pinterest board and then give yourself a week, come back to it, and then really look and see like what is the commonality. As long as it's not all the same artist's work, like pick different artists, like just pick a topic, like search tiger art or, you know, fantasy art, and pick out the ones that really speak to you, add them to a board and see what that looks like for you as far as like what does the end result look like. And your style at the end of the day will be amalgamation of all of that. It will be like all those separate, if my fingers are all the separate things that you like, there you go. Then your style will look like this at the end. It'll look like a little bit of all of that, all kind of tossed in. And that can be something that you are also developing over time. I think it's also good to assess where your strengths and weaknesses are at that point as well. Maybe you're focusing on one area and you have you're stronger in another. It could be good to really lean into your strength. And since you, if you have a random example, so if you're like really have like a knack for graphic design, but you want to be a fantasy illustrator, but like your graphic design is like a lot stronger, then I would say, especially in this beginning phase, maybe focus on the graphic design. It may not be like your super passion, but I think developing the thing you're have a proclivity for already. Sorry, I'm getting like talking too much. It's going to help overall, I think. And it will somehow seep into your other stuff too, because once you have like a really developed visual language and style with one thing, it will cross over into other things. You can, a lot of times, if an illustrator decides to sculpt a piece, you can tell right away who sculpted that. You're like, oh, that looks like such and such's art. I didn't know they were sculpting. You know, it will cross over. So I would definitely play with the thing that you really have hopefully have a bit of a passion for. But if you really find yourself excelling in a particular area, I would say kind of go for that. Because it's a lot of work. At the end of the day, it's a lot of work to get commissions and seek out that kind of stuff anyway. You might as well make it toward the thing you really want anyway. And that's to say that the thing you want is the thing that you are skilled in. So, I mean, there's a whole entire like 60 different ways that can all suss itself out. But yeah, I hope that helped. All that rambling helped a little bit. All right, bugs, go away. I have a Venus flytrap right there. But yeah, we're getting toward the end of the episode. I am curious if anyone decided to draw with me. If you have any, like a link to or screenshot or something to what you drew, then you can post that in the chat or in the later on in the comments. I am, of course, found here on YouTube at Colourisma, at really youtube.com/c/Colourisma. It's a whole thing. But as well, I've got Colourisma.com. And if this helped you at all, and you've been sticking around for a little while, and you can and want to, I also have a Patreon, and that is patreon.com/Colourisma. So you can join us there for a couple of bucks a month. I decided to go the monthly route. I know at the very beginning of this, I was debating whether or not to go monthly or to go per video, but I'm more familiar with monthly. I feel like it's a little bit more fair. I personally would restrict when people do the thing and I'm supporting them per item. I put a restriction on that anyway, which is generally about $2. Because you never know when someone's going to go crazy, go nuts, and do a whole bunch of something in 1 month. But yeah, so that's that. Here's what I was able to get of this sketch so far. The head might be a little bit too big. Well, we'll see. I will definitely play with it more in a little bit, and I'll show y'all the next time we do a draw with me. I'll show you the final one. Yeah, I will hopefully prepare a little more in advance. I had the hot water thing right up until like an hour before the stream, so I was scrambling again. Hopefully I will get all of my projects done with the RV very soon, within the next week or two, and then I can just just prepare in advance, and that will be super sweet, and I can't wait. For now, I'm going to see how well the hot water is working. Y'all, fingers crossed for me. But yeah, I appreciate everyone coming and checking out the stream, and I will catch y'all later. So have a good one. Bye.